There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Hello. Welcome back to Matt Mork Motion Pictures. We got lots of movies to talk about and stuff. I don't know, whatever. Oh, yeah. I'm your host, Matt Saltine. And over there is, I guess, another host, Mork Spruce. Say something funny, Mork.
Yay. Motion pictures. Yay. Maybe this one has a Stranus in it. Hey, look. It's Stumpy, the amazing mule. Whatever you do, Stumpy, don't go getting Max all bothered and mad and stuff.
Oh, no, Stumpy. Don't do any of that stuff I can't stand, or I'll I don't know, throw something at you. I don't know.
Stumpy. Gosh, but what about Zamfir's butt?
Yeah, so movies and stuff. I mean, motion pictures. And we're talking about... I can't find the Xerox. What the hell?
Max, wake up!
What?
Time
What?
to start the show!
But, oh, thank Eisenstein. It was all a dream.
Whew.
Or was it?
Not for our
it's
listeners.
No, it's our new series, An Incredible Simulation. Last week, we watched an actual blockbuster movie. 2000. It was big. It busted blocks. I don't know. 2013's Pacific Rim. And this week, it is my painful duty to bring you the movie inspired by this movie. No, let's not kid ourselves. This is a shameless cash grab by a production company famous for exactly this sort of thing. And speaking of shameless cash grabs, I'm your host, Cash Flag. Max Levine. I'm Max Levine. And over there is a sophisticated AI recreation of Mike Luce. Beep, boop, beep, Mike.
A funny thing with Zamfir and Zangief. Ha ha, ha ha.
Perfect. Amazing, isn't it? We don't need the real thing.
Just like this week's movie.
Yep. But before we get to this towering whatever, steaming possibly, we have our poll question.
Poll question.
Last week we asked you, what is your favorite giant monster movie? Not just the monster, but the specific movie, and you had thoughts and were not afraid to share them. Good for you. Adam Mark, our scholar at large, as Cloverfield, 2018. A sea monster of unexplained origin or motivation attacks New York City. New York City? No further exposition is provided. It's true.
Yeah.
The film portrays the experiences of some 20-somethings partying as the youth are wont to do, where they experience the attack in real time, all the while, I think he means, filming it on their camcorders. Remember camcorders?
Ah, that was a time, wasn't it?
Yep. One by one, they perish or are separated. When it was released, it felt so novel and real, I was on the edge of my seat. The film does not even try to explain the origin or cause of the beast we experience as the characters experience it. And the ending is even more amazing. The monster cannot be beaten, only endured. For runner-up, Twister. Oh,
huh?
That's interesting.
I don't remember a giant monster in Twister.
Well, it was just made of wind.
Well, there was a big cow, and it did fly.
Yes, there was. Another film where the monster cannot be beaten, only endured.
Huh.
What was supposed to be just another dumb summer movie created a masterpiece with a film that will soon spawn a sequel.
Oh.
Really? Plus the first mainstream film for Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah.
The Twistening? Is that what it's called?
Twistening, yep. The retwistering. The monster cannot be beaten, cannot be reasoned with, destroyed solely because it exists. It comes unbidden from the very sky above, sucks your father out of the cellar, bursts through barns, drive-in movie theaters, and weather-vane auntie houses with nary a care, and scours the Midwest. Future Trump voters scramble for cover. And, yes, this tornado is huge. Now, very fine tornadoes on both
Are your
sides.
hands getting smaller?
They are. It's frightening. And in the end, there is no anger, only awe. What a villain. I never get tired of it. Cow! Another cow! Actually, I think it was the same cow.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take on the idea of a monster where it's something that's
Yeah.
in this case, not even really physical. It's just a manifestation of wind.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Dave tells us Godzilla versus Mothra. Right on. The only movie I watch. The only movie I watch regularly from the whole franchise. The Peanuts, of course, are what make the movie work. Yeah, Snoopy's great in that. They create and build the atmosphere of mystery, and their commentary provides much-needed pathos to an otherwise unattractive giant moth. Hey, let's not moth shame here. Dr. Professor Rebecca Pelkey says, I don't think I really gravitate toward giant monster films, but Jurassic Park is maybe an obvious choice, leaving aside that animals are just doing what they do and trying to survive aren't really monsters as such. A less obvious choice and a favorite of mine in general is The Cabin in the Woods. I won't say it more because that would spoil it.
Oh.
That's interesting. I never thought of that as a giant monster movie, but sure.
Have you seen it? I haven't seen it. So
I have.
Oh.
It's interesting. And again, I can't. She's right. It's very hard to talk about that movie without spoiling it.
Well, then let's not.
Yeah. Matt Reisman says Pacific Rim. Oh, Matt.
Now.
It was fun, enjoyable, and felt both familiar and fresh. I don't generally like the giant monster movies, though. They seem cool for about a scene, but mostly I find them tedious. That's fair.
Yeah.
Richard Tatum, as always, the inventor of the Tatum. Would the Iron Giant count? He's considered a monster by some, but then Godzilla is a hero in some as well. And, of course, Gamera is the friend of all children. That would be the big one for me. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
Huh.
we've had two different looks at monsters. One was a tornado. And then,
Yeah.
well, actually, no, and then we had the dinosaurs. I mean, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park actually, to me, tilt over into the friends when they eat the lawyer.
True.
So, yeah, sure, why not? It's all about perception, right?
Again, really interesting take, but yeah, I buy that.
Gamera doesn't mean to step on people. It's just his way of making friends.
He's just lonely. Even giant turtles get lonely. Nick Hoffman says, I've been cogitating this one all day. To be honest, I'm not a giant monster fan for the most part. I hate the Kongs, and don't get me started on the G-Zillas.
Okay.
Word up, G-Zilla.
Yo, homie. Homezilla?
That said, I love me some dragons. This creates a problem for me for your question. Best dragon I would have to be from Dragon Slayer, Vermithrax. But if I had to answer your question honestly, How to Train Your Dragon.
Well, and that's another one where it's
Okay.
all about perception, because, of course, in the beginning of that film, they're horrible, and they're eating things and destroying our way of life. Here, us Scots up in Scandinavia.
So Scottish Vikings. Why not?
And then, of course, it turns out if you make friends with them, they make charming house pets. Actually,
Yes.
I adore the first film in that series.
First film of that is just amazing. Tyler Stewart said, Cloverfield and Iron Giant, for the reasons already mentioned. You beat me to them. King Kong, the original, and Jackson's version as honorable mentions. Okay. Sure. Charles Forsyth, Bambi meets Godzilla.
Thank you, Charles.
Charles, don't make me smack you.
Now. It is funny, and it doesn't go on too long.
Val Coons, Cue Footsteps, etc., etc. Sorry, cue reference to Cue Footsteps.
Reference.
I gave this a good long thought. I really like the Twister answer. It's my go-to movie when I want to put on a movie and veg. I would think that'd be too stressful, but okay. I've seen it at least 30 times. Ooh. Wow. Mostly because it was used as a demo where I worked years ago. Okay. And I'll never get tired of it. But I'm going to go with, really? Sharknado 2.
Yeah.
Not Sharknado, mind you. Sharknado 2 out of 6. It's so silly and proud to be so. Okay. The first one had some fun moments. Ian Ziering cutting himself out of the Great White for one. But the second one is silly and gleeful about it. That's true. It's not even trying to be good. That's fair.
Wheaton? Eaten.
Eaten. And again, it's if we allow Twister as a giant monster, we have to allow a Sharknado as a giant monster. And this ties into this week's movie.
Cool.
Our favorite cheese boy, Ned, says, to be perfectly frank, Pacific Rim is my favorite giant monster movie for sheer spectacle. So I was incredibly happy to see you cover it this past week.
Oh, I bet he wasn't.
Then he refers to Vince, who'll come up in a minute. Vince, Snowy, mentioning The Host brings back fond memories of that movie, which I also loved. Though, as he says, it's almost an anti-monster movie. I cannot wait for Atlantic Rim. Yes, you can.
Well, he doesn't have to. It's rentable.
And, of course, from up north, where they actually have giant monsters.
They do.
Remember the giant electric penguin from Scott of the Arctic. That was real.
Look at what he can do.
We have Vince.
Snowy.
A bumble doesn't fall, doesn't splat, a bumble bounces. My favorite monster movie is a landmine of a question. Oh, I like quite a few, and for different reasons, but the original King Kong is hard to beat even today. The way it unfolds, the use of effects, and the amazing way it makes you relate to a stop-motion puppet as a real character you're actually supposed to care about after finding it terrifying at first. A newer film might be an honorable mention, The Host, was such a refreshing departure in many ways from Western monster movies in terms of characters. There isn't really a hero. The family involved is the hero, really, and the monster is shown fully in afternoon sun and doesn't really disappoint. It also has a dopey pollution somehow made a horrible creature in a pretty short period of time explanation, which was a modern twist on the nuclear radiation explanations we saw in the 50s as an excuse to bring a monster to the screen.
It also didn't have a song, Save the Earth, Save the Earth, Save the Earth.
Thank you, Smog Monster.
Yeah.
Hey, what about you, Mike? What is your favorite giant monster movie?
I have a soft spot for two. One of them is a Godzilla film. It is my favorite Godzilla film. It is Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, which stars Nick Adams for no particular reason except I think he was living in Japan at the time.
Okay.
And the best part is that you can tell he's speaking English and nobody else is, which either means he knows Japanese or just was like, whatever. It is goofy. It has these sort of space punk aliens that control. There's the Controller, great name, who come to Earth to get Godzilla and Rodan to come fight Ghidorah on their planet because they have no water or something. And then they come back to take. It's like, now that we have them under mind control, we can take over the Earth. And there's flying saucers and a very loud thing that's supposed to scare off rapists. That's literally part of the plot. I'm not kidding. It's in there. But
really?
Yes. And it is just goofy and fun. The other is Gamera versus Guiron, because Gamera versus Guiron has these two space alien ladies who send a spaceship to Earth to kidnap two boys for reasons we never really understand. And the acting is really bad, and the monster has a big knife on its head, and he literally cuts up the monster from another Gamera film, which even as a child made me go, should I be watching this?
Yep, it's pretty brutal.
And there's one point where you can tell like the sets were constructed outside in winter because you can see the breath from the kids in it. It's just like, it's literally, if I had $5 and an action figure, could I make a Gamera film? And yes, it can. I'm going to say as a sort of a runner-up, I would put Cloverfield. I actually really liked that film. It's one of those films like Blair Witch, which had that bit of novelness to it that, of course, couldn't last because now everybody does found footage films and stuff. But I think in the context, it really worked, and it also was a different perspective. We weren't with the government or the military or whatever. We weren't trying to come up with the giant trucks with the ray guns on it and stuff like that. We're just some guy at a party, with a cell phone going, hey, what the heck is that? Yeah. So it was kind of neat. How about you, though? Yeah. I know you like Godzilla films.
I do, but honestly, if in terms of the one I think is just the best, I go with Cloverfield. Even though this was a movie that actually physically hurt me.
That's really surprising. I saw it with you, and if I remember correctly, you spent 5 minutes in the same seats as us, 10 minutes in the bathroom, and the rest of the film way in the back.
I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I just had to get out of the theater and sit on a bench with my head down because the jogging camera literally made me nauseous. And then I had to sit in the back row and watch the movie kind of sideways.
Oh.
But I thought it was really well done. And like you say, it very much gave you the feel of being the everyman and how we would react. I think it's really good. I think it's, again, physically painful, but very well done.
Oh, Max, you're never the everyman. By Prince Pachelbel. Everyman by Prince Pat. There's a scent I want to buy. Everyman.
I want to smell like everybody.
That'll be the first scent from Max Mike Movies. You can buy it right next to Bumpy Puck cereal.
Exactly. But those were all great answers. Thank you so much, everybody. And because you did so good, we're going to give you a chance to do it again. You may be able to figure out what the inspiration for this was. What actor's appearance in what movie just made you go, oh, God, why? What are you doing here? A beloved actor in a movie they just shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
It's just, what's the most tragic I needed the paycheck film appearance? And at the end of the show, I'll tell you how you can answer that.
Although you already know. We only do that because Ned told us to.
Yeah.
We do everything Ned tells us to.
Yep, we obey the cheese head.
I like cheese.
Cheese is good. Cheese is wise. Now, things about it.
The facts.
Budget. This had a budget, believe it or not. Yes, it did.
It wasn't just donations?
$500,000.
That much?
$500,000. Now, it is very hard to pin down how much this made because, and try to control your shock, this did not get a theatrical release. This was straight to DVD.
What? Wait, they actually put it on a disc?
They actually used physical resources to distribute this. They estimate it made about somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5 million.
Horses died for this? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that is what I am telling you.
Bumpy, no!
Bumpy, please. It was not always... It didn't keep the name Atlantic Rim. It was later called From the Sea.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I think they got a phone call. There's not a lot to talk about this movie. However, I will say, this film was originally... They planned to shoot it at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida. Yeah, the base denied permission to film there after a high-ranking official read the script, big mistake, and disagreed with the portrayal of the soldiers. Oh, why?
Okay.
Production moved to a private helicopter airport that played at least 7 different locations.
Yeah, didn't notice that.
Yeah, the last-minute relocation and weather, because suddenly we're in the winter, allegedly, led to at least 9 script rewrites.
That's all?
9 times.
We're giving it away. We're not doing our jobs.
There is an exterior shot of the, quote, naval base, which is actually the naval base in Everett, Washington, which is on the Pacific coast.
It's right next to Pensacola, I'm pretty sure.
Sure. There's just a country in the way. This is how deep I had to dig. This is the first film to be featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000 that was produced and released in the 21st century.
Ah.
I also want to point out, just who you may have noticed from, well, we'll get to the cast later.
Why?
I normally don't do this, but Dread Central gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, describing it as the ultimate monster movie about booze-hounding broskies in battle bots saving New York City from a crazy-eyed giant sea beast that frequently appears to be merely a lost animal, confused and irritated that these metal men won't stop hitting it. I think that's fair.
I mean, I would still not give it 3 stars, but
no.
Oops. Again.
This movie, now, this is more interesting. I think this comes from a production company called, appropriately, The Asylum. This is an independent film production company, and it is famous for the type of movie that this is. This was, I wish I'd come up with this name for them, because it's really clever. Mockbusters. Like mock turtle soup, not like making fun of, but like fake. This company is the genius group behind Transmorphers.
Oh, dear.
Yep. Alien versus Hunter. 30,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yep. The Terminators, plural. Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. And, of course, and this should surprise no one, all 6 Sharknado movies.
Oh!
Suddenly, a lot becomes clear, doesn't it?
That's what that smell was.
Yes.
Okay.
That's you. In fact, you'll recognize a lot of the same actors are the bit players they tend to throw into these.
Okay.
They've got their sort of Ed Wood stock cast of people who I think were like, I don't know, this guy fixes the copy machine. He can play a Navy pilot. Or
They own a copy machine?
No, they rented one.
Okay. Wow. That does explain.
It makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. That's all I've got. There isn't much about this movie.
Well, luckily I know a lot of trivia about this movie.
Oh, good. What is it? You're lying.
It's an hour and 25 minutes.
Yes, it is. That is the one thing we can say. It's very short.
It's got robots in it.
Well, yeah.
Kind of. And a monster.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Who is supposed to be 3 different monsters.
And there's... okay, I'm done.
Yeah, kind of figured. Okay, so now the part I've been dreading, the plot.
Wrangle that plot, Max. Yeah.
One of our oil rigs is missing. Maybe it hit a rock. Someone actually says this. Except oil rigs don't move. No, it's a giant monster. Oh, sure, that would have been my next guest. Quick, we need stock military footage, and lots of it! It's no use. Oh, noes. Fortunately, the Navy just happened to have 3 giant mecha robots with 3 pilots on hand because apparently they were commissioned under the Stuff and Reasons Act of 2013. We've got Waters, a.k.a. Red, a maverick who plays by his own rules. Jim, a sensitive guy who randomly becomes an African-American stereotype. And Tracy, who is blonde and a woman. Oh, and maybe romantically involved with both of these guys? It's not clear. This comes up and is dropped almost immediately. Overseeing this confusing mess is Admiral Graham Greene, who, after appearing in Twilight New Moon 4 years earlier, has apparently decided to take whatever job floats up out of the sewer. I'm so sorry, Mr. Greene.
Yeah.
He has to deal with some very unconvincing NASA scientists who may have built the robots and a very bad Nick Fury knockoff named Geis, who really, really wants to nuke something, anything, damn it! More suspiciously identically CG'd monsters show up, apparently with negligible explanation. First in, I'm not sure, New Orleans, maybe? There's Mardi Gras.
Sort of.
Don't know. There's 5 people at Mardi Gras, apparently. Then in, I don't know, Manhattan, it's supposed to be. I don't buy it. I think it's the helicopter base again, kind of. There's a lot of punching, anime-style weapons, and so much drinking. Seriously, if the monsters don't kill the pilots, I'm pretty sure liver failure will. There's heroic sacrifice that isn't really a sacrifice. The day is saved, and everyone cheers for the hundreds of thousands who perished as collateral damage, and everything is good forever. Hooray! More drinking!
The film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great job, Max. That
you.
actually gave me the exact feeling I had watching that film. That and memory loss seem to be the 2 symptoms of having watched this film. So the Asylum, now that you tell me where they're from, they remind me of an 80s film outfit that they didn't do rip-offs of other films, but they did very low-budget movies that somehow made it into the theater. That was a outfit called Empire, whom I really liked. They did films like Trancers with Jack Death.
Oh, God.
And Robo-Jocks, which actually reminds me a lot of this film.
Yep.
And they were just like, they put out all these science fiction and cyber. They didn't care what the genre was. They would put it out. And it was literally, one of these things has to make money. And somehow one of them would. And that would allow them to keep making more films. So this reminds me a lot of the Asylum. And then,
yeah. Asylum is a lot of the same way. They're the closest thing I think we have to a modern grindhouse cinema. They just churn this stuff out. They do it on such a small budget that they actually end up making money.
They somehow have figured out the mathematical formula where they can't help but make money. Like
Yeah,
somehow, yeah, because these. I don't want to give away our opinion, but I think we gave it away with the title of the episode.
I think so.
Yeah, so I'm not the usual question. Did you see this before? No, of course you didn't. Well, no,
yes,
you
I did.
You saw it.
I did.
You saw it
because
as
I
MST.
saw the Mystery Science Theater version.
Right,
and I had forgotten it almost as soon as I saw it.
which is the best thing to do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops, I keep doing that. Damn, it's hard not to.
But let's talk about the cast.
Do you want to leave him for last, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's leave him for last.
Almost like in
doesn't
memoriam. Poor Graham.
So, we got Red,
God.
apparently his name's Waters. They aren't very clear what anybody's name is in this.
Well, his name's Lieutenant Waters, except at one point he says, because when he's one of the times he's arrested, they come in and he's like, Lieutenant Waters is like, no, my name is Red. Why is his name Red? Because it's the color of the lights inside his cabin and his robot. Yeah. My guess is he's chosen that because it's the only word he can remember.
And it's only 3 letters, so it's easy. It's the shortest name because there's red, white, and green.
Red, blue, and green.
No. Red, white, and green. I checked this twice.
Her robot's blue.
But it's called white.
But it's blue.
It is blue, but it's called white.
I disagree.
Yeah. And we got, he's played by David Chokachi.
Is he?
Yes, he is, who I'm sure we all remember from Baywatch.
Can we find another verb? So here's my question, because this is my note on David Chokachi. Is that like Chachi? No.
Yes.
My question is, do you think the actor was drunk while playing him? Because
I really do.
Me too. I'm
pretty sure he was hammered out of his mind.
There's this great Vine, and it's a Vine about this surfer, and he's in front of a newscaster, and the newscaster is trying to get this guy to describe what it was like to be out in this pounding surf on his board, and it's pretty obvious that this guy has either just come up from having hit his head on a rock, Greg Grady, or he's really high, because he's like, yeah, we're out there, and then kabam, and there's and he's like burbling and not making any sense, and that's pretty much how I'd describe his performance.
Yeah, the guy, I'm not sure he knew he was in a movie.
No, I don't know if I know he's in a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with terrible. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. And then there's, Anthony Treach Chris.
Sure, because he really likes Arthur Treacher's fish and chips.
That was where I went, too, when I heard that. Now, he's actually been in, one real movie called Juice. Like, Samuel Jackson's in that, and a bunch of people. It was like a gang movie. It was supposed to be watchable.
Okay.
I think he plays third guy from the left.
Oh, I love that part.
Yeah. He's also, he did an episode of CSI.
Or he had an episode.
Yeah, I think he had several. Yeah. Also, this guy, you don't know what to make of him, because he's like, hi, I'm sensitive. I'm worried about the injured and the fallen. And now I'm going to call that was a little more than a little problematic when he is trying to rescue an innocent little girl who for some reason has run into a bar that's on fire.
Well, and he goes in to rescue her with his gun drawn. I'm like,
that was the thing. It's like, where are you, kid? I'm going to shoot you out of here.
Oh, no.
I will rescue you with bullets.
I'll shoot the fire. Well, and also, you have to sit there. Well, we're going to get to this. Let's just stick to the performances. Yep. I have to say, of the 3 leads, or is it leads?
The 3 humans who we saw most.
I think he was the best of the 3. Now, that's not much praise.
Not say that's like, yeah.
But I think that there are moments where I think he's actually acting.
He's trying to, yes.
Yeah.
And then of course, there's Jackie Moore, who plays Tracy, who we all remember from, she was in the show Westworld as Mariposa Girl and Hooker.
Hooker's a good cop.
I will never forget her performance as Hooker.
She honestly looks like she's reading her lines off a teleprompter, and they keep putting pages in front of it that have changed.
Yeah.
She's there. I mean,
she exists.
She's blonde, I guess.
Yeah.
But sure.
Yeah. And then we have this movie, like Pacific Rim, you had What Are You Doing in This? We had Idris Elba.
Yeah.
In this, we have Oscar nominee
Yeah.
for Dances with Wolves, Graham Greene.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was in The Green Mile. He was in Maverick with Mel Gibson. He was in Thunderheart with Val Kilmer. And he was in one of the Twilight movies.
And how would you know that, Max?
I've seen all of them.
How many times?
Many times, because they are the greatest ones that Riff Trax has ever done. That to me is their starry, starry night, you know?
He's secretly Team Edward.
I am not. I am Team Mustache Dad.
He spends the entire film looking like he would really rather be anywhere else.
Preferably with a toilet. I'm sorry, Graham looks like he is so blocked up.
Well, that, and it looks like they handed the camera off to Billy Barty, because half the time we're looking up his nose.
We are. The blocking in this, the camera work is just, I think they put the camera on a chair and left.
Well, there's two things with that. One, there's the weird camera angles, one of which I know is a cost-saving measure, because here's the thing, and they start the film this way. If you keep the camera angle really tight, we can't see where anybody is, and therefore we don't have to know that they're nowhere near an oil rig platform. So, keep it tight and don't move it when it's in that situation. Otherwise, make sure the camera's in constant motion, because
Yep,
people
keep it
love
moving.
that.
Yeah.
No, we don't!
No, we hate that.
Oh, I can't. I don't know who started that trend. I know some people thought it was, for frack's sake, I can't remember anybody's name. J.J. Abrams.
Oh.
But I don't think it was him, because I actually generally
I think it's older than that.
Yeah, it's just like literally every shot is a pan to the left or the right, and they're not the same direction. Not that it would matter, but it's like, now we're going over. Oh, we're going over.
Now I am near. Now I am far.
I hate that. But yeah, Graham Greene spends the entire movie really looking like he'd rather be doing anything else, or he needs a movement. I'll be right back after this important movement. Yeah, and then there's other people. Oh, we can't forget Colonel Snake Plissken. Who the hell is that? Oh
God, yes, Geis.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, it took me a while to find out who he was, because he is not listed as colonel, because he is a colonel. You can see the bird. Sure. He's got the full bird. They gave him the bird.
He's Sheldon, isn't he?
Yes, he's listed in the credits simply as Sheldon, and all I think of is, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Sheldon.
That's a deeper.
Yeah.
Well, I love it, because this is one of those movies, if you go look this up on IMDb, you know it's a sign of quality when more members of the cast don't actually have a photo than do.
Yeah.
And Sheldon's one of them. Stephen Marlowe, who is... he looks like he doesn't even know how to wear an eye patch. Let's face it.
No, he really is. He looks very uncomfortable with the eye patch. He's supposed to look badass, and he looks like I just came from a Halloween party, or I'm on my way to a Halloween party where I'm playing a pirate. Arr.
Yeah, or I sat in this, it stuck to my ass, so I decided to string it around my head. I also swear, and I don't want to go back and find out if this is true, I swear that the scar under the eye patch only shows up later in the film.
I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it's they forgot to put it in the first few shots.
Who plays the scar? That's what
I don't know, but he was underpaid.
And then there's other people in. Oh yeah, I actually do want to mention Nicole Dixon, who plays Margaret, the NASA scientist.
Oh my God! This is the person where you just go, she's never acted before in her life.
Well, also she can't spell NASA.
Oh, that's right. Isn't it what is it, NSA or
wait, no.
And of course, nobody can pronounce nuclear either.
No, and even Graham Greene does that. And I'm like,
yes. All I can think of is Homer Simpson going, it's pronounced nuclear. Nuclear.
Yeah. So the cast, even Graham Greene, ranges from bad to terrible.
Yeah, Graham Greene cannot save his part and does not even try.
No. He's there for the money, and I hope he can't have got that much if the entire film was budgeted at $500,000.
I'd like to think, I hope he got like half. Yes. The sad thing is, this is how little effort people put in. If you look again on IMDb, he's listed as General Hadley. He's not a general, he's an admiral.
Yeah.
They make a big deal out of that.
Yeah, Hadley. I know a Hadley. Terrible cop.
Shut up. I solved
deeper.
the case.
That's
yeah.
a few footsteps deeper.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's just pass on the cast because we're done. They were done.
Yeah.
We
they
can
were
be done.
They were overdone, yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the brilliant dialogue.
Okay, so one of my first notes is we need one more person to say, "What is that?"
Yes.
Literally, I swear they say, "Okay, line up everyone in the cast and have everyone say, "What is that? What is everybody?"
Or we need Graham Greene to say, and I counted, I think 4 times, "That's a damn good question." No one ever answers any of them, but
No.
he does want us to know they are damn good questions.
I also have never seen a movie ask itself, "What's going on?" more than this one. 'Cause I swear,
I don't think it knows.
they're waiting for pages. That's the only thing I can think of is they're
That
filming.
makes sense.
They only have so much on their SD card, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And that's like a cue to the writer to give them a page to read.
I also still like some of Graham Greene's expletives, like bull butter. All I thought is, Colonel Potter has showed up.
No. It's so the dialogue, dear God.
Deploy the Marines on the East Coast. The whole coast?
Yeah.
I don't think we have that many Marines.
Also, they call in a battalion of Marines more than once, and each time it's the same 5 guys.
It's 5 guys.
It's
Apparently
literally
5 is a battalion.
5.
Yep, and with very obviously toy guns.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually hear the sound of the little hammer hitting the plastic thing inside.
Yep.
There's that. Where to start? Well, I will say this. I have to give it a plus to this movie. Within the first
Really?
5 minutes, this movie has 3 times more women in it than Pacific Rim.
This is true. There's quite a few women.
Yep.
I question how many of them work on an oil rig with their flawless skin and unbroken nails.
And they really know how to wear a hard hat, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
It could only have been worse if it was backwards. It's like,
Yep.
that thing is precariously perched on the top of her head.
It looks like it's going to fly away on its own, honestly. And the foreman is just so annoyed when his people die.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Damn it.
convenient. It's also very... you sit there basically watching the ways they cut the budget, or like they couldn't do that. So they talk about the monster. We don't see it. They just are like, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" And it's like, "Oh, look at that big blip on the radar." We're looking at the radar. There's no blip.
No, there's no blip.
Any of the times we look at radar,
there's no radar, really.
Well, I think it's actually like it's a little feed from the local weather channel or thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Weather at 5, whatever. Yeah.
Then
there's things swimming in the water, kinda. Sort of. And then eventually we see a monster for like 3 seconds. And then they tell us that the oil rig went down. We can't see that because, of course, that would be expensive.
No, and of course they don't use real fire when anything catches fire. It's all CG, and it's all painfully obviously CG.
They rented the fire from Birdemic.
Yep, these are the wildfires from Birdemic.
Oh my God! Yeah. So the monster, when it shows up, I'm like, "Is that Reptilicus?" I haven't seen that. It's the old Swedish snot monster. I haven't seen that in a long time.
And whoever was who described it as crazy eye, the monster just looks silly. Its eyes are like, I'm Kooky Guggenheim.
Crazy Guggenheim.
Guggenheim.
If you put googly eyes on something, it kind of does look like that. They make the mistake of trying to have this take place in more than one area.
Oh, that was
One of them
wrong.
is supposed to be in New Orleans, but this
I guess.
is the lowest rent Mardi Gras I've ever seen.
Yes.
Like, there's people on floats throwing beaded necklaces, except I don't know if you notice this, they don't actually throw them because they need them for other shots.
Oh, I didn't notice. Okay.
And not that I needed
Doesn't
to see this,
surprise
but
me.
all the women are fully dressed. Even when they've got on
Yeah.
like a halter top or a bikini top, it's over a t-shirt or something.
Yeah,
And it's all taking place at noon.
Of course, that's when all the big parades happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no jazz bands. There's
no music. Excuse me, there's background music, clearly public domain.
Well, the music to me, it's like, oh, I know that loop from GarageBand. I know that loop from GarageBand.
Yep.
But it's like the Mardi Gras. I don't know if you noticed, but kind of a dearth of black people there.
Well, it's kind of yeah. No, there's not a lot of black people in New Orleans.
No.
It's a white chocolate city. Yeah.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, they make that mistake, but that's okay because when they talk about being down in the Florida something or whatever, we'll be back because Florida will stand in for New York.
Every place, yeah.
And it's like, at the end of the film, they're attacking New York, and there's a few shots of, I guess, a drone flying through New York or something. And
then some CG buildings.
yeah, but then they're immediately like, they cut to Graham Greene, and he's in a forest.
Yeah.
And Joe Wood's in a lot. You know,
he's in upstate New York.
he's in that
There's a lot of forest there.
Well, there's that really large expanse of woodland and beach there in Queens. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. And of course, the famous Brooklyn palm trees put in an appearance.
Yeah. You have to kind of squint a little bit. It's not like you can't see them. So, yeah they do real well in cold weather. But I think my favorite, we don't have enough money for this, is at the end when Red has, quote-unquote, sacrificed him by literally falling from space, landing in a pile with the other robots, but he gets out. It's literally, they show the robot having crashed. The next shot is he's obviously squatting below the camera, and he
which is pointed up.
And he stands up, and somehow this is supposed to represent him getting out of the robot.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, he does the whole Iron Man, I'll fly you into space with the nuke and sacrifice myself. That's how he gets rid of the last monster. My question, of course, was, why did you need the nuke?
Well,
why don't you just chuck him into space and let him freeze to death and die?
Well, I also want to know where he got it, because we see him in the robot doing things with the nuke. Unspeakable things. And then the nuke flies off into space, and then he goes to fight the monster, and then he's shoving the nuke later into
No, he's been clutching the missile to his bosom through the entire fight scene.
That's because he wants to go to the Motorama. No, there's actually a shot or two where he's... but whatever. And then we're not even going to mention the idea of radiation shielding or... Yeah, but there's also a scene where Blue or White or whatever she's supposed to be, she also has a scene where she has been overcome by the vapors or something, and her robot crashes, and to demonstrate her leaving her robot, they just cut to her at a field.
Yeah, she's just sort of, Jim is just carrying her. Yeah. It's like, I got you out of the robot, apparently.
Oh, and I got out of mine too. Phew.
We didn't have to see that. Nobody needs to watch that.
I did that real fast. So
yeah.
It just... I mean, I wish there had actually been like a cardboard box or something to represent some part of the robot, but we never see it. And part of the problem is most of the film, and I'd be amazed if this was shot on film. I'm sure this is shot on somebody's phone.
Absolutely. This is all digital.
Most of the footage is shot in 4K, and I'm being generous here, except the special effects, I think, are shot in 1080p.
If that. I think they're in 480, but...
Because whenever the robots show up, they're kind of staticky.
Yeah, they don't look good. The visuals are just embarrassing, but we kind of expected that.
We did. But I will say, it is much easier to see the robots and what they look like and the monsters than they were in Pacific Rim.
That is true. At least it's daylight in this one for most of it.
Yeah. And also, they were smart enough, and boy, dude, this is... Talk about a bar left on the ground you could trip over. They color code the robots so at least we know which one's which.
Yeah, because otherwise there's literally no way to tell. They are all identical. They've got nothing distinctive about them.
No. And speaking of low rent, they also obviously have one set for the cockpit of the robots, and they just turn on different colored lights.
Yes, and you can tell at one point they're complaining about how hot it's getting, and you can tell it's hot because there's smoke in the cockpit. Sure, or steam, I don't know.
But they couldn't even afford sweat.
Nope, none of them are sweating, not even a little. And they make such a big deal in the opening. They're going down to 800 fathoms.
Who measures in fathoms anymore?
Well, sometimes the Navy does, but not usually. And the thing is, 800 fathoms is about 4,800 feet. I did some checking.
Oh, that's pretty far.
You know what the record is?
Oh, I'm going to guess
35,000 feet.
But in a robot?
Okay, no, it's in a little mini submersible, but...
Well, there you go. That's your thing. You're not just thinking... You think way too literally, Max. You're just not getting into the spirit of this movie.
I apparently did not suspend my disbelief from a noose.
Yeah. I don't think I've heard fathoms, and can't remember when. Why would you bother? If it would at least go metric. What's a metric fathom? What's that? Do they have?
I have no idea.
How far is a fathom?
Fathom is 6 feet.
Okay, so I'm a fathom too.
Yeah, exactly. You're a fathom in a bit.
Yeah, that's my new nickname. You have to call me Fathom, as in I can't fathom why he'd want that.
I don't think I will. No, I don't know why you want to be called after a Raquel Welch movie.
She had a movie called Fathom.
Yep, that's her character's name.
I do
it's
love
a running
when
joke.
They decide they're going to really spend some money, and Graham Greene says, "Call in the entire fleet." He doesn't
deploy stock footage.
Well, but he doesn't tell them to do anything. He
just
tells
deploy
them to go there. So
then we see a lot of pictures of aircraft carriers, and for some reason, one picture of a B-2 stealth bomber.
Yeah.
Which is never seen again.
Well, it bombs too. Because that's where the nuke comes from, I guess. Yeah. Except they even say in the film, give the guys. Graham Greene is having fights with Snake Plissken, which honestly, again, sounds like a kid with 2 action figures from 2 different family members.
Yeah.
And Snake Plissken is dying to drop the nuke, as Max said, and then he's going off and secretly talking to another branch of the military, because branches of the military don't talk to each other. And
well, that's not entirely off, but
he comes back and he says, we're going to drop a nuke. We have to drop a nuke. And Graham Greene says, no, give them a half an hour. And then suddenly it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like there's no explanation as to why it wasn't, like, who gave the order and what, because he said it was a half an hour, whatever.
There are so many things in this also, just little things that don't make any sense. I never mind the big
when the
things.
Credits start to the end part?
Yes, pretty much. By the way, when the credits start, I felt so bad because Graham Greene is the first name they put up.
Well, of course it is. They
I'm
paid,
like,
they paid $20 for that.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't say, no, you can do this, but you got to call me Alan Smithy or something.
Yeah.
First off, Red is just a horrible character. My first note was, well, he can't get eaten soon enough.
Well, and they do that whole, and we talked about this in Pacific Rim, they do that whole, he's a maverick, he's no good, he's going to get in trouble. He plays by his own rules.
They even call him a wild card several times.
Yeah, except he's just bad at his job. He
mostly just does things like disobey direct orders, which would get you locked up or shot in the military. What gets me is he gets locked in the brig, and then the admiral says, I'm going to let you out to go to a party. What?
And just let me tell you, when you broke all those rules, I've never been prouder of you in my life. And I'm like, what?
But I'm going to lock you up again.
Yeah, at midnight.
Like, dude, you're sending some real mixed messages here.
You have a curfew, young man. Yeah, so I just had more energy than Graham did in that film.
Yeah,
well, there's that. There's a scene where we see Graham Greene and the rest of the crew in the I don't know where the main head NASA, whatever it is, and then literally the next shot is Graham Greene on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
we have absolutely no idea how he got there, how he got from Florida to New York. Never mind out to sea.
Nope.
Just nobody cared. They were
magic.
Like, whatever. The magic of editing. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I guess. I'm gonna edit my way onto that ship.
But also, did you know, at one point, I think Red says, don't worry about it. I'm going, you're cribbing from the room now.
Well, there's also a point where Red suffers from sudden onset recap syndrome, where we watch him fight the monster, and then they get out of the robots by literally just being over there, and then he tells us what we all just saw, and what all the characters described as seeing on their scopes.
He also does it exactly the way you did it last week as the 10-year-old kid describing Pacific Rim in that, like, yeah, and I was like, boom, and the monster was like, yeah, and this guy came in like, blam. It's exactly like a kid describing it, and it's just as uninteresting and confusing.
Yeah. It's like,
and he's supposed to have all this romantic chemistry, allegedly, with Tracy, and doesn't.
I'm sorry, but the main characters have all the chemistry and appeal of a wet fart.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
They really do. There's this weird subplot where they go out for drinks. One of the times they go out for drinks.
One of the many times they go out for drinks.
And Red goes to the bathroom, probably to puke because he's been drinking so much. Yeah. And suddenly Jim's like, are you going to tell him or am I going to tell him? He's like, no, we can't tell him. Tell him what? Oh, that time. Oh, we feel about each other. And I swear Tracy, who's blue or white or whatever her name is literally like, wait, what?
Yeah.
She's like, was that in your... I didn't have that version of the script. Do you have the yellow pages or the orange pages?
Now, I'm not as hip
pages.
to the lingo of the young people, but I thought hooking up meant having sex.
It does.
And they're talking about they made out once.
Well, literally a kiss.
Yeah, a kiss. He said, yeah, we hooked up. It's like, you and I have very different definitions of this.
Well, so Red comes back and he's like, they're like, we need to talk to you about stuff. And White or Blue or whatever her name is like, no, we don't.
Pink.
Yeah. She's Pink.
The Pink Ranger.
Jim, I'll say Jim and Tracy. I can't do the colors. It's dumb.
Yeah.
So Tracy's like, no, we don't. And Jim's like, yeah, we do. We totally do. So, like, we kissed this one time. And Red's like, yeah, so what? I've kissed lots of people. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And then she's like, well, as long as it didn't mean anything more. And then there's these sort of knowing glances, like, between Jim, because, like, I'm guessing they're implying that Jim felt something, and Tracy's like, wait, did I feel something?
Yeah.
And then they cut away, and we never, ever get back to that.
It never gets back to it. It's a vague attempt to actually have character, and that was their mistake. They shouldn't have bothered.
Oh, also, it was one of many. Oops. Damn it.
I still like when they are getting the advanced tech to make the robots better, and they get the cheap sunglasses that apparently if you wear them on your forehead, you get a, as you put it, a waft with the robot. Yeah, they don't call it the drift. It's a mind link with the robots, which they master in 2 minutes. And I still like the doctor's line, now you're going to feel a slight pinch, and I have ... in your brain.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's obvious the actors don't know how to wear these little forehead things, because Red puts his on top of his, like, sort of most of the way up his forehead, like that's where it goes, and then it literally drops onto his nose, and he's just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just leave it there.
Like, this is the only prop we had.
And it's not even a prop.
No.
Yeah. I do love the part when there's supposed to be this victory party, and Red asks Tracy, Lieutenant Waters, we don't know his first name, we don't care.
We don't care.
To go, and she's like, we can't celebrate. Do you think that's a really good idea? Come on, you'll go if I go. We'll just stay for one drink, which obviously we can all tell he's not going to do. And it's like, Jim, come with us and celebrate. No, I'm going to go help the Red Cross here in New Orleans, except out in the woods, where the monster never got close to.
And then we get some of the weirdest cinematography in that we have Red and Tracy slow dancing at this supposedly big, important political party that looks really like somebody's prom or possibly somebody's wedding where they said, oh, my parents aren't paying for this. This is going to cost, we're going to just do it at the Union Hall.
Yeah.
They're slow dancing, and we're cutting back to real scenes of first responders helping real disaster victims.
You get the feeling that a lot of the footage in this film was because they parked near something. Like, there's a wedding going on. Let's just...
I'm telling you, they went to the Ed Wood School of Directing and was like, stock footage, load me up.
Yeah, but it's not even stock footage sometimes. Like you said, it looks like somebody's cheap wedding.
Yeah.
Because lots of people film things at weddings, it would not surprise me. Whereas, like, if we just move in with the cameras, no one's going to ask questions. Because it's not like they're using...
They may have just... I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just crashed some random wedding that happened to be near filming and said, just keep the camera low and we'll just film and we'll loop in the dialogue later. Just do it.
And they probably could have gotten away with it. Nobody would care. I mean, because half the cast is drunk, half the people at the wedding are drunk.
No one's going to see it. Yeah.
Well, in those woods, how much you want to bet they literally, like, oh, this will do. They didn't ask anyone. They just showed up, filmed, and got out. Because there's also a scene where they're surfing somewhere in New York, I guess.
The famous New York surf beaches.
You can. It's not common, but you can.
All right.
And they basically, it's like, hey, I got $10 for anybody who's willing to point and go the monster, and then you can just run off the beach. It's fine. Just do whatever you do. And that's what they shot. They also reuse actors. One of the opening scenes has Red and Tracy being accosted by some bad guys selling koosh in an alley. I'm willing to bet that's the first time anybody there said koosh.
Yes, and especially because it's kush.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Red also... I wonder how you know that, Max. Red very awkwardly makes a point to bump into the bad guy, and then there's the most unconvincing fist fight I've ever seen. But that's okay, because that guy will show up again playing the guitar in New York.
Oh, that's right. I didn't spot that.
I did.
Yep.
It's like,
Now that you
hey,
say
he
it,
doesn't have sunglasses, but that's the same
and
guy.
he's in a different city. Yeah.
There's also one shot of the robot fight that is literally used 3 times in a row.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Not throughout the film.
No,
right
in
after
that
each other.
same sequence.
Yep. And I guess we're not supposed to notice that.
Yeah. There's a lot more to unload on this movie, but I
this
think
film's a load, all right.
I think we got to wrap it up and give people I'm sure are dying to know what we really thought of this.
Surprise opinions.
The finish.
So Mike,
No!
I win for once.
Sure. You win
would
on
never-
Atlantic Rim.
Yeah, hooray for me.
Congratulations.
So you've never seen this before, right?
I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. No
Yeah.
one should.
I should have known. It was a rental for 99 cents.
And we still overpaid.
Yep. Yeah, so that gives it away. No, it's awful.
It's terrible.
Only
There's
an
nothing.
hour 25 seconds, I wish.
Yeah.
An hour 25 minutes, and it's too long. I
Yeah.
actually started falling asleep.
This isn't like Sharknado
No.
2, which is funny and at least moves along. This is just embarrassing.
And it's not embarrassing because nobody I see in this film except for Graham Greene has any talent at all. The editor
I'm
has no
embarrassed for
talent.
Graham Greene.
The cameraman has no talent. The director, obviously,
Nope.
the writer
Nope.
certainly does. And except for Graham Greene, none of the actors have any talent that I can see.
I am embarrassed for the fact that we gave these people between us another $1.98.
This is actually, though, the perfect film for this series. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is.
$500,000. Ooh, what's coming out? Let's jump on that bandwagon and milk it for as much as we can.
Let's put this out. We're going to film for 3 weeks, and we'll be done.
Was it really 3 weeks?
I think that included post-production, packaging, mailing the stuff.
What's post-production? Keep flailing. This is literally a make it as quickly as you can, get it out there in front of people. And I'm sure the DVD came out before Pacific Rim had left the theaters.
Very likely.
And that's what they were meant to do. And apparently you said they're famous for doing this, which I totally believe. That being said, as Val Coons, I think that's her name. I'm not sure about that.
Why would you know?
How would I know?
Yeah.
I think she actually has a point. The Sharknado films are kind of fun because they're goofy and they know it, and everyone in the film is playing it dead serious.
Yeah.
After 2, I'm not sure, but number 2, I mean, especially the fact I think number 1 pulls Robbie Wrist out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, is that Cousin Oliver? Is that what happened? Okay. And they are kind of goofy fun, and I can totally see it, but this is not that.
No.
It has the worst thing for me for an action film. It's boring.
Yeah, it is boring. The so-called action scenes are uninteresting. It's dull. It has nothing to recommend it at all. I mean, I'd like to normally say, well, you got Graham Greene. It's like, no, it hurts to watch him in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's capable of so much better.
Yeah, the only thing he projects is how much he doesn't want to be here. And however much they paid him wasn't enough.
Yep.
The locations don't want to be there.
No. You can actually, I swear, see the trees trying to lean out of shot.
They just want to leave.
Yep. I'm surprised it didn't spark a happening right there.
I think
What? No.
I had a happening all over the bathroom floor after
I had it
this.
happening in my pants.
Yeah, it's awful. It feels like the worst of Sci-Fi Channel's original films. This one isn't even Sharktopus. We're not even there. It's
Nope.
They literally had enough budget for I'm going to guess 90 seconds worth of robot and monster footage.
Maybe a little more, but yeah.
There's way more of people describing what's happening or literally going, "What's that?" Like that's
Yeah.
they don't even describe the fight. They just go, "What's that?" And we have to imagine that there's some sort of battle going on. So yeah, this is absolutely awful.
This is dreck.
Yeah, it is.
Don't
a
waste your
rip-off.
time.
Yeah, although, and it does rip off the plot, except that they don't even have the money for the Spanus.
Nope.
But whatever. But yeah, so no,
Yeah.
we vote no.
Nope.
Surprise.
But that brings us to something more entertaining, our poll question. Which is this week going to be, what actor's appearance, like Graham Greene's, just makes you go, oh God, why? What actor and what movie? What's the most tragic, I needed the paycheck film appearance for you? And you can answer that as we always can, at our website, maxmikemovies.com. You can leave a comment. You can email us at maxmikemovies.com, and you can comment on us on the mediated, socially thread-free Facebook group, Max, Mike, Line,
Movies.
Thank you. And, of course, we're on lots of podcast apps. Hooray.
Give it a shove, Kristen.
Kristen, honey, we're filming. But
apparently she got better.
She did. But next week we go from mock to block. What are we hitting next week, Mike?
Well, I thought we would take a look at a slightly older film that was indeed quite the moneymaker in its time, and of course would have to spawn a certain number of competitors and rip-offs and other such things. So next week, the good film, the film we all wanted to see, which I have not seen in decades, is E.T.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've seen that since it came out.
And I'm actually really curious to see if it holds up, because it's one of Spielberg's earlier films. It's a favorite of a lot of people, but I've also seen a lot of critique of that film, so that'll be really interesting. Here's the thing. We gave our listening audience a chance to run away before hearing what the following movie was going to be. Do we want to do that? Or
nope, we're not going to tell you until next week.
Okay, so next week we're going to watch E.T.
Yes, so phone home with us. This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.